I can't do it.
Okay.
We'll do it live.
Okay. No.
We'll do it live. It. Do it live. I'll write it and we'll do it live. Thing sucks.
All right, here we go. It's another edition of the Daily Puck Drop, your daily sports podcast here on a Monday inside the world-renowned Limbach Lumber Studios. Contractors, we're talking to you. They offer free deliveries, everything from whole house packages to homeowner DIY projects. They've got the largest stock moldings in the Northwest. They are dog fans. They are licking their wounds this weekend, but they will recover. They are old school in their service. Why? Because they've been doing it since 1930. Give them a call, 206-782-3487. Visit them online at limbachlumber.com. Visit me on social media, Puck Sports on X, Instagram, and Blue Sky, Puck_sports on TikTok. And, of course, please go visit pucksports.com. You find all of our shows up there, links to YouTube, Apple, Spotify. Also a link there to sign up to become a Puck's Posse member. All it costs you is 1 cup of coffee a month. That is it. All right. We got the baseball playoffs starting this week. We will preview, obviously, the Mariners coming up in the division series, which will start on Saturday. We've got to touch on the Ryder Cup embarrassment. We'll get to that. Michael-Shawn Dugar will join us, as he always does on a Monday, usually recapping a Seahawks game, but they played on Thursday, so we'll get his thoughts on that victory against Arizona. Also, the report from the NFL Network on Riq Woolen, perhaps being traded before the November 4th trade deadline. Bill Krueger is here, as he always is on Mondays, Old School Baseball Podcast, and we will do a full Mariners baseball playoff preview with William Krueger. Mondays, though, ladies and gentlemen, from the Shed and Bend, it is Jim Moore. You know him as the go-to guy.
Hey, Puck, I've got 3 sponsors. Did you know that? Special thanks to Brian Turner from A Clean Streak in Oak Harbor. You know all about A Clean Streak. They'll clean your roof, your gutters, you name it. Wash your windows, pressure wash your driveway at acleanstreak.com. Also, a couple of Cougs are supporting the Puck Sports Podcast. Brad Brotherton from Brotherton Cadillac Northwest and Shoreline, and Brotherton Buick GMC and Brotherton Cadillac in Renton. Whether you're shopping for a Cadillac, Buick, GMC, you name it. My mom has bought 4 vehicles from Brad Brotherton in Renton. If it's good enough for my 96-year-old mom, it's got to be good enough for you. I'm pointing at you out there. Anyone who's listening or viewing this, Brad Brotherton, great guy, great Coug. Say go Cougs to him. He'll eat that up in 1 second, okay? So visit him in Shoreline or Renton or online at brothertonauto.com. And, of course, last but not least, but it's Matt Baker at the Angry Beaver in Greenwood. It's a great bar. It's a Kraken bar. It's a hockey bar. It's a Coug bar. They'll give you shots of Fireball. They'll give you whatever you want there. Matt Baker's awesome. So make sure you stop by the Angry Beaver. It's a Seattle favorite for years. It'll be one of your favorites, too.
I would like to know how your mother Maxine is doing as we are sitting days away from the start of the postseason run. Does Maxine believe this is the year? 96-year-old mother believe this is the year.
Well, did you know that I wrote about my mom last week in the News Tribune?
I sure did. I read it. I did not read it at the News Tribune. I read it because I have a subscription to Jim Moore, the go-to guy.substack.com. I am subscribed.
Oh, well, thanks. Yeah, I ran it there. I interviewed my mom because she's such a huge Mariner fan. And I just thought, we've all been waiting for the Mariners to finally come through and get to a World Series and maybe even win it. And I was wondering, we always say, like, with the Cougs, we were like, once in our lifetime, we'd like to go to the Rose Bowl. Same thing with the Mariners. Once in our lifetime, we'd like to get to the World Series. When you're 96, time's running short. And so mom is on pins and needles. Just, Jimmy, I hope this is the year. So
I just like that she still calls you Jimmy. She says, the quote, the one thing I've always hoped before I die is to finally see our team go to the World Series. She says, there's not a game I can think of that we've missed with her husband, Dick. If we go out, we got to get back before the game's over.
Oh, she loves baseball. She loves the Mariners. She loves the pregame show, the postgame show. She's sad about Root Sports going the wayside. And yeah, so I think we're all kind of on the edges of our seat, aren't we? Because I think we realize that this is a year that the Mariners can actually do it. In years past, we've been thinking, okay, it's great they got in the playoffs. Maybe they'll make a little bit of a run. This year, you kind of expect them to make a run.
Yeah. Well, I'm here for let's win one for Maxine. Let's get Maxine
win one for Maxine.
Can Maxine throw out the first pitch?
She would try. Yeah.
Yeah, let's get her out there.
Okay. I'll talk to Headley about it.
Sure.
And see what he can do.
Are you going to come up? Are you going to drive up, be a good son, and go spend the afternoon on Saturday at Fair? She just lives off, right? The Fairwood Golf and Country Club, hole number 6. I know that hole very well. Well, very, very working all the way through high school at Fairwood Golf and Country Club. I know that hole quite well. Are you going to go up and pay her a visit, sit down and watch the game with her?
No, probably not. But I will be talking to her. I would come up if I get a ticket to the game. I'm trying to get my kids tickets to the game. Yeah.
Pricey.
Well, I'm sure they are. You mentioned that about the tickets yesterday.
Oh, Jesus. It's just, if I could do it over again, I think I'd rather not go. It was one of the most boring games I've ever, because it was boring. Nothing happened.
But you got to see Clayton Kershaw.
They did, but I'm not a Dodgers fan, but it was cool to see Clayton Kershaw. But the money I paid for to sit up in the bleachers, and then they ran out the JV squad to go be like, yeah, okay. It's fine.
Right, but
it
then,
was a
then
lovely
they were
day.
throwing, goodies out to the fans and everything afterwards.
Yeah, it was a lovely day. It was beautiful. The park was great. It was packed. A lot of Dodgers fans there. It was fun. It was fun sitting up there in the sun, celebrating the CEO's birthday. It was great. We had a blast. Took the Lime scooters down to the game, going along the waterfront. God, great looking waterfront. We have done for ourselves. Haven't been down there forever, even though I live 5 miles away from the damn thing. So it was great. It was a great day. Great day at the ballpark.
Good.
Great day. That was wonderful.
Well, great day, but you brought up the negative right away about it.
Well, it just was, if I paid my normal $10 a ticket for the bleachers, they weren't
100, were they?
More.
They were more than 100?
Oh, yeah.
To sit in the bleachers, you had to pay $500 for a family of 4?
And more.
Wow. Okay. Well, maybe you should have watched it on TV then.
Yeah. It was ridiculous. It was ridiculous what they charged. But whatever. It's, is what it is. When Mama Bear wants to go to the baseball game for her birthday, that's where we go.
Okay. Good. Well, good. Well, happy birthday to Kaisa then.
Thank you. It was fun. It was cool to see Clayton Kershaw because he's not on the roster for the wild card series. I mean, I assume he'll pitch in the postseason, but maybe not. Maybe if they get eliminated, he's done. So, I mean, I think to see a guy that, is a surefire first ballot, no doubt, Hall of Famer, pitching his final game was pretty cool. And to see Ohtani, I mean, God, there was one time I was thinking Ohtani's going to get hit for the cycle. I've never seen someone hit for the cycle before. Well, that would have been cool.
Just to see an Ohtani home run was cool.
Oh yeah, it was really cool. There were so many people there just for him. So they got to see history. But it was cool. Now we move on. Now who we get Detroit or Cleveland coming up, and they'll start their series tomorrow. I don't think Cleveland's announced who their starter is, but clearly Detroit will go with Tarek Skubal. And why is that important? Well, he pitches game 1. If Detroit wins and he pitches game 1, he'll be doing it on 4 days rest. So will they pitch him on 4 days rest? I believe if they pitched him Saturday, if Detroit were to win, he could pitch in game 5 if there were a game 5. They want him on regular rest. He'd pitch Sunday in game 2. And we don't know what the status with Woo is. So who knows who goes game 1. If Woo doesn't go, I'm assuming it's Logan Gilbert, right?
I would think so. I was thinking about it. And I think they're going to go Gilbert, Castillo, and then go with Woo in game 3.
Ooh.
Adam Jude of the Seattle Times, he had the home and away ERAs for the pitchers, and Woo's far and away the best on the road. And so you get two things there. You get more rest for Woo to make sure that he's okay, and then you also have your best pitcher on the road.
It's interesting you brought that up. It's like we think alike. We always record with Bill Krueger on Mondays because he has a real life and a real job. And I brought that up to Bill Krueger. I go, what about the idea of going Gilbert 1, Castillo 2, because he's much better at home, and then you save Woo for game 3 because on the road. Now, he looked at me like Cal Raleigh looked at me when I asked him, why don't you just hit left-handed?
Did he really?
Not quite like that, but he was.
I would think that too. I would look at you cross-eyed too if it weren't for this pec injury.
Yeah.
Because you want to make double dog sure that he's okay.
Agreed.
Yeah. And it's not like you're throwing some schleps out there with Gilbert and Castillo. So
I just brought it up because of two things. One, the biggest reason being these home road splits. And then number 2 being, let's give them a little extra time to rest up. And it's not like, Gilbert and Castillo are just some leftovers you're throwing out there.
No. And especially Castillo, he worries you on the road, doesn't he?
I know he's been better, right? He's been better of late going down the stretch, but what you can say is just he's just much more better at home, like all of them.
Yeah. But yeah, there's a bigger disparity between him and then Woo. The disparity isn't as big. So, I mean, Woo on the road is 3.40 and 2.44 at home. Sorry, I might be coughing a little bit and there's no cough button. But the other guys, I mean, Gilbert, Castillo, Kirby, they're all around 5 ERA on the road.
Well, they've had success against both these teams. I don't know who people want. I think you can make an argument for both. I don't know if it really matters. You don't want to overlook anyone. They won the season series against both. They really handled Detroit for the most part, maybe a little bit more than they handled Cleveland. But even with
they
Cleveland,
swept Detroit after that Yankee series that was a disappointment. Remember that?
They swept. Wasn't the Detroit series, I believe, that was the last one. Right, the last series on the road, was that not before the All-Star
break? They came
break?
off the game where Woo had the no-hitter through 8 or into the 8th inning, and they lost that heartbreaker to the Yankees, and then they turned around and swept the Tigers in Detroit.
Yeah, and in 2 occasions they've had it with Skubal. They've given Skubal the business, so maybe they're comfortable hitting against Tarek Skubal. And Castillo's been great against him because in both those games, which they beat Skubal, Castillo was the starting pitcher. They're obviously not playing great baseball right now, so maybe you're catching them at the right time. They're better offensively than Cleveland. And Cleveland's a weird team. You look at their offensive stats in the American League. They're
one of the worst in the league.
No, they are. They're the worst. They're dead last in everything, in every category. Runs, OPS, slugging, everything.
But their starters have been good. I thought it was surprising when I went to DraftKings this morning to check on the odds. Detroit's favored in the series. Slight favorites.
Well, they have according to ESPN analytics, they have 63% chance of winning the series.
Well, think about how unusual that is, especially when you have a team that was so cold like the Tigers and so red hot with the Guardians, and the Guardians having the home field. I mean, and you don't get to play a game in Detroit in that first series.
Yeah, and the pitching, you're right. The pitching was but guy, when you look at their stars, you don't go, oh man, I don't know how we're gonna do against Gavin Williams today, or Tanner Beebe, or Logan Allen. They're not household names, although they've been very good.
Yeah, they've been great during their run here. They won 19 out of their last 23. So. Yeah, I just think it's going to be great. Each game is going to be on at 10 o'clock on ESPN, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. So when you're a retired guy, it's like, shit, I'm not working. I can watch that game. It'll be awesome.
It's a full.
Well, actually, on Wednesday I can't because I'll be on pucksports.com.
Well, we can do play-by-play.
Okay. As long as you have
these Guardians, they've got a real good side here. We'll just do play-by-play. Who cares? No one's going to stomp us. It starts tomorrow at 10 a.m. Tigers and Guardians, and it's the Padres and Cubs at noon, Red Sox and Yankees at 3, and then you just kick your feet up to watch Reds and Doyers coming up at 6. God, what a time to be alive.
Did you know the Reds were even in the playoff hunt? I mean, I don't follow national baseball and the National League. Did you? I mean, it kind of surprised me when somebody said, yeah, the Reds are facing the Dodgers. I was like, oh, they are? Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah. It was, They played great at the end. The Mets collapsed. And again, it goes to the argument. We want everyone to spend more money, and I want everyone to spend more money, especially the Mariners. But even when you spend $400 million, it doesn't guarantee you a playoff appearance. I mean, think about that. They spent $400 million, and they couldn't even make it in the expanded playoffs. I mean, God, almost everyone gets in, it feels like.
Don't you think Jerry and John Stanton love that news?
Of course they do. Of course. I told this to Krueger. What do you think about it? The playoff shares, the money that they earn in the playoffs, do you think they should give a percentage of it to Arizona for falling apart?
Oh, for just deciding they're going to be sellers and just what the heck, we'll give you Naylor and Suarez. Yeah, I think that's a fair idea. I hadn't even thought of that.
How much should Arizona, how much should they have somebody from Arizona throw out a first pitch in the playoff game?
I wouldn't mind that. I think it'd be awesome.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's put your hands together. Here is the GM of the Arizona. Here's Corbin Carroll. Corbin was part of the Arizona Diamondbacks team that fell apart during the regular season. In order, they decided to sell at the deadline and trade Seattle, Naylor, and Suarez. Here he is, Corbin Carroll, first pitch. Without your help, we wouldn't be here.
I think that's fair, Puck. And weren't you kind of surprised? And I know we don't know these prospects, and maybe they'll turn into Gold Glove winners and MVPs or whatever. But and the fact that Naylor and Suarez are rent-a-players, but still, didn't you feel like they really didn't give up much to get two guys like them?
No, but no, not at all. Not at all. But you have to. This is the crazy thing about sports and really in baseball. I mean, I think you can make a real viable argument here. A pretty viable argument. Had Arizona not fallen apart, Seattle is not the American League West champions. And maybe they're not in the playoffs.
Okay. I don't know that much about sports radio and podcasting and everything, but this seems like a day that we should be celebrating what the Mariners are doing rather than having, going on these detours and, you're off-road kind of going, they're very fortunate to be there. No. But did you know that if Arizona hadn't collapsed, we'd be talking about another missed opportunity by the Seattle Mariners?
I'm just saying there's lots
of celebrate.
I am. There's lots of layers to this story. That's what makes sports incredible and baseball. You do need some help and luck along the way. But we can acknowledge, had they not fallen apart, you're not getting Naylor and you're not getting Suarez. They're not trading them.
Well, that's fine.
Right? I mean, but that's you can
fine,
just
but
say
you
that's correct,
that up a
right?
Week ago. You could have brought that up a week ago.
Well, I know, but we weren't talking about it a week ago. I'm talking about it now.
I'm just giving you shit. I am. I'm giving you a hard time because I'm Mr. Negative most of the time too. But it didn't even occur to me.
It's not being negative.
That you'd be bringing up the Diamondbacks today and their role in all of this.
I just feel that somebody from the Diamondbacks should throw out the first pitch.
What did Krueger say?
Krueger laughed. He thought it was very funny.
Did he play along?
He did play along.
Yeah. All right.
I mean, think of that. I mean, Josh Naylor and Suarez, even though Naylor's been the bigger impact than Suarez, but.
No, yeah, but I mean, you're right. If they didn't have those two guys.
I mean, it's obvious. I mean, Josh Naylor, the impact that he has made on this baseball team. And even Suarez too, because of, even though he hasn't been great since coming over, but it just adds another veteran, a presence, a bat. It makes you longer and deeper and all those great things. And everybody, especially our wives, likes anyone that's longer and deeper.
I would argue though that the Mariners would have won the West anyway. Okay.
Really?
Even if they'd gotten those two guys. Well, the Astros, the Astros finished? What was their record? I mean, you don't think the Mariners would have somehow beaten them out anyway with Williamson at third and Locklear at first, or Rayleigh at first?
I mean, I don't know. I would probably put money against it, honestly. I mean, I just think that's how impactful those two moves were. No,
they wouldn't have won 18 and 19 or whatever they did without those
only
two
three
guys.
games. They're only a 3-game difference.
Yeah. Yeah, fair enough. And we all know that. I mean, Gino, as much as we love Gino, what's he going to cost on the open market? A guy that hit 49 home runs.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're going to get one of the two, I think everybody that's a Mariner fan that's seen what's going on there, you want Naylor more than Suarez by
for sure,
a large margin.
A couple of more things. Michael-Shawn Dugar coming up a little bit later, and then we'll talk to Bill Krueger. You wrote a column on it. Root Sports Goes Dark. I talked about it on Friday. It was our Hey, What the Puck, basically alluded just that it was going to happen. That was going to be the final game. It was. They finally put out a statement, I think probably later that afternoon on Friday, making the decision. I know Jen Mueller put out a statement. She's not coming back for sure. Sounds like that Angie and Brad will return to whatever it will look like, but 30 plus years, Root Sports, Prime Sports, Northwest Sports, right? Northwest Sports Report, all that kind of stuff. It's over. It's a sad ending, and it's sad because there's so many people that we don't know behind the scenes that lost jobs, and that's just never good.
No, it was rough. I watched I think a lot of people did, the last few minutes of their broadcast, and, Jen tearing up and not being able to get through her final comments. And then, she passed it over to Brad and Angie, and, they had the Kleenex box out, and God, I started tearing up. I just started thinking, those are people that we know. And the thing is too, Puck, is that even if you don't know them on a personal level, you feel like you know them because they're in your living rooms, your family rooms. They're there every day, and you grow to like them, and you feel bad about people that might be losing their jobs. I don't know if it's a given if they're coming back with MLB TV, Angie and Brad, and maybe it is, and maybe everything will work out. But it reminded me a little bit of when the PI closed, and I was in my early 50s trying to figure out what the hell to do from there. But you don't like to hear about people losing their jobs like that.
No, you don't. And hopefully everyone can kind of land on their feet, whatever the new broadcast looks like. I have no idea. Is it all going to be streaming? If you have cable, can you watch it? Is there going to be a live, like over the network channel? I don't think anybody knows what the exact future of what it's going to look like coming up next year. Ryder Cup embarrassment.
I was glad we lost.
I wanted them to lose by more, actually. And not because of the players. Not because of the players. Although I don't like most of the players on the Team USA. Well, a few of them I don't like. Not because of the players and not because of Keegan Bradley. It's because of how we acted.
Yeah.
And it's an embarrassment how that crowd acted. And it really is. It's just symbolic of where we're at right now, of what we're led by and all of that they acted like that. It just was embarrassing. Just all of it. All the crowd, the fact that you had the woman who works for the PGA Tour or PGA of America who puts on this thing is the MC at the first hole. She's leading the chant of "fuck you, Rory." What are we doing? Can we not come up with something a little bit more creative than "fuck you, Rory"? And I thought Rory nailed it yesterday. If you watch him in the post match, he goes, what was sad is that we're all for people in your home crowd, but why not root for your guy rather than take it out on the opposition? His point was, over the 3 days, I didn't hear anyone ever root for Scotty Scheffler. It was always F you, Rory. And he's right. Europe does it better than us. They just do. Better players. They're led by a better coach. Their fans are better. They care about it. You watch Shane Lowry when he sealed it in that post-match interview. That's why they kick our ass. They've won 9 of the last 12. That's why they win. Meanwhile, guys like Patrick Cantlay won't play unless he's getting paid. It's just the way the whole thing unfolded is just exactly where we're at overall right now. And I'm with you. When I was at the baseball game, maybe this makes me an ugly American. I don't care. I'm at the baseball game getting updates. Oh my God, they're making a comeback. And I'm like, I don't want them to make a comeback. I wanted Europe to just smash them.
I did too. And you and I going into this, I mean, we watch a lot of golf, and on paper, and Joel Damon told us this, on paper, the American team should have won and they were favored, but you and I were all over Europe because we always find a way to be too uptight or overthink things or choke or a combination of all three. I didn't expect what happened there at Bethpage by the crowd. I mean, usually you get the raucous guys yelling and stuff, but when it gets to that FU Rory stuff, that just, and how Rory handled it, the press conference afterwards, talking about golf being a gentleman's game and all these different things about what we learned from the game of golf. I romanticize golf too much probably, but I'm just like, yeah, you're right. You know, Rory, you're right. And it just bugged the shit out of me how those people acted back
just
then.
Idiotic.
It was
all
embarrassing. It was like, really? God, what are we doing? What the hell are we doing?
Because we are
ugly
just
Americans, and I think of people over in Europe watching this. You know, I just hope they know that we're not all ugly Americans. We're not. I mean, Jesus. It was stupid.
Yeah, I mean, it just was
I was
fitting.
glad we lost. Like I said, I mean, come on,
it was
man.
just fitting. It's absolutely fitting of everything that's going on. Absolutely fitting. And it's just the crowds. And I mean, did you see the video, by the way, of the people before the round? I think Saturday. This is how stupid we are, and just how lame we are as fans. They were the two MCs were hyping up the crowd. Did you see
Scotty
that?
Scheffler chant?
Yeah. All right, guys, this is what we're going to do. It looked like the stupid Rams rules.
Yeah.
I've got it saved on my phone, so I'll share it to you if people don't know what we're talking about. We're like, all right, we're going to stomp our feet. 1, 2, clap. 1, 2, clap. 1, 2, clap. I mean, so stupid.
Then they were going, okay, repeat after me. Scotty Scheffler.
It's just,
and then clap, 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 clap.
Yeah, it's just so
and then how
stupid.
about like McElroy's wife getting a beer thrown at her?
Well, there's a video of there's other video, and I don't think it was actually thrown out. I think it was knocked out of his hand.
Oh, okay.
But I don't. Maybe the person was trying to knock it out of his hand to get her. It's just
okay.
All of it. The cat calling, the stupid countdown when guys were trying to putt. It's just dumb. All of it, and it just makes us look a bunch of idiots.
Okay, here the other part of it. Don't you think that does the opposite of what you're trying to do? Like you want the Europeans to lose. If you're one of those European guys and all this is happening and you're hearing all this heckling, doesn't it make you want to win even more? Doesn't it motivate you more? So it's an opposite effect of what the fans are trying to do. Like if I heard all those Americans yelling at me like that, like Rory, I thought it was beautiful when that one guy, was giving him a hard time out in the fairway and then he put it to 3 feet. I mean, come on. I don't get it.
Well, when he turned around, and told him to shut the fuck up, and then he sticks it to 3 feet.
Yeah.
It's just everything. It's just I mean, I don't want to see Patrick Cantlay ever play on this team again, because I think Patrick Cantlay is a problem because he represents everything that is wrong with greed, because he's greedy. And he's a narcissist.
When he represents boredom too. It's boring as shit to watch.
He demands to be paid. And so the demands of being paid, that stuff trumps everything for him. Oh, I'm going to waste my time with this, so I better be compensated. All of it. It's just so dumb. And for Europe, for them, it's just a point of pride. It's pride for them. Shane Lowry saying it again afterwards. Like, I've won the Open Championship, but since I was a kid, this is it. This is what I play for. See, it's in their DNA. It's in their blood. It's not in ours. And I don't know how you change that. I have no idea. Zero clue. You know what I would do? I would, they will never do this, but I was thinking about, they kept showing Jordan is, walking through the crowd. Make him the coach. Get somebody that's not golf related. I don't know. Just because whatever they're doing is not working. It just does not work.
No, not well. The team competition was just a blowout in favor of Europe. And yeah, the U.S. made a good comeback yesterday, but it was so far-fetched that they were going to come all the way back. And For the TV coverage sake, I'm sure they were happy that it became, somewhat in doubt. But, in the end, yeah, I was happy when Lowry made that. And you're right. You would think that Shane Lowry winning the Open in Ireland, his homeland, would be the biggest thing of all. The Ryder Cup for him trumped even that.
Yeah, it just I would have liked to. I'll be honest with you. I don't want to see Cantlay out there. I know Jordan Spieth had a terrible season, but there's something with Jordan Spieth. There's a passion with Jordan Spieth, even though he didn't play well. I think there's a desire for Jordan Spieth, a burning desire. Justin Thomas has a burning desire to represent his country, a burning desire. So does Jordan Spieth. You know who else does, who's not well-liked and everyone hates him? Patrick Reed.
Oh, Patrick Reed.
Patrick Reed lives for this. And despite him whatever he's doing on live, I have no idea what his live record was. It was probably bad, but he should have been on the team. I don't need to see Ben Griffin in his aviator glasses. That was a mistake. Russell Henley was a disaster, a freaking disaster. Ben Griffin, I mean, my God, that dork should not have been anywhere near that golf course.
Colin but Morikawa, the stats show that he belonged, though.
I don't care. It's throw the stats out. Go with feel and gut. Guys who want to play. Competition, who rise to the occasion. Colin Morikawa, out. I don't need to see him anymore play. Scheffler can stay. Cam Young can stay. JT can always play anytime he wants.
Don't the Europeans always have more personality too? I mean, all those guys you think, hey man, they got personalities and they're going to be chugging beers left and right. It was fun to see them on the team shuttle, celebrating.
Yeah, this everything. They live life better over there. They always have and they always will. God,
I love Tyrrell Hatton. Tyrrell Hatton, I want to have a beer with that guy sometime.
Of course you would. Of course you would. Let's see, college football. Let's recap the college football before you go. Michael-Shawn Dugar coming up. Good, workman-like win for the Cougs. Not flashy, not a lot in the second half. They did all the scoring in the first half, but they finally ran the ball. They played great defense. It's another example of what were they thinking? Why Zevi didn't start the season? But they got to win, and now halfway to at least. Again, I know the Bulls have taken a hit, and that's fine, but I think for them, an accomplishment would to make a bowl game, and 8 wins is out there for them. I mean, I don't think they're going to win the next 2. They have a bye, obviously, with Ole Miss and Virginia, 2 ranked teams, but then after that, they can run the table after all those 2 games.
Yeah, I think after that, I was looking at the schedule today. They got Toledo and Louisiana Tech at home.
James Madison.
2 games against the Beavers, yep. James Madison. Now, these teams, you look at them and you go Toledo, Louisiana Tech, James Madison. Well, they have winning records. A couple of them are in first place in their conference, so it's not going to be that easy. But, yeah, if he got the 7 wins, and then if we're playing the number 4 team in the country in 2 weeks. Oh. And so that's not going to be pretty there at Ole Miss. In fact, what do you think the line on that game is going to be? If we were 21-point underdogs to the Washington Huskies at home.
24.5.
Oh, I think it'll be more than that.
You're probably right.
28, 27.5.
Yeah, that's not going to be pretty.
And then what are they going to do? Are they going to stay back there? Are they going to fly home and then go to Virginia?
I don't understand it. I really do think they should stay there, but
yeah,
I think they're coming back.
God, just do a team bonding thing in Virginia for the week.
Yeah, they should. I don't know why they didn't. Maybe they can't. Maybe financially they can't. Maybe that's part of it. I don't know.
We might have a shot at Virginia, but I don't think we have a shot at Ole Miss.
Well, and they've got to prepare for Inner Sandman.
Oh, yeah, they do, don't they? Yes, they do. Will Joey Blunt be there, you think?
He's leading them out. He's leading them out of the tunnel. What did you think of the Puppies? They took on the Buckeyes. I was coaching the Ballard Knights. We were taking on Everett, so I didn't get to watch much of the game. Went back and watched it yesterday. But what'd you make of that one? It was a good game at halftime. I guess it was only 7-3, but they ended up winning the game and, most importantly, covering. Good job, Buckeyes.
Yeah, they did cover. Yeah, no, I think most Husky fans would say they thought they were competitive for a few quarters, just like we were with them for 3 quarters. But fourth quarter didn't work out too well. But yeah, that was kind of to be expected, wasn't it? Number 1 team in the country coming in. But
we're going to take a dig. I'm going to take a shot at Jed Fish.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
Are we sure Jed Fish can coach in big games?
Why do you say that?
Because what big games has he won?
Well, it's only his second year, isn't it?
Yeah, but every time he has a big game, doesn't he make some type of mistake that you're like, why didn't he do this? Why didn't he do that? I mean, he gets an unsportsmanlike conduct that hurts his team. He's got a running back that averaging 5.4 yards a carry, but yet, well, how many times did he touch the football in that game? 13 times. He's got an unworldly wide receiver in Denzel Boston. How many catches did he have? 3. I don't know. I others would have to answer that for me. He doesn't seem like he really rises to the occasion as a head coach in big games.
Well, I was surprised that this, supposedly vaunted offense, the second scoring offense in the country through 3 games, didn't score a touchdown against Ohio State.
I think a lot has to do with the Buckeyes. I think what you even if you're a Husky fan, take a step back and go, what was obvious to me watching that game, every time it's skill and talent. It's just the players. Every time Damon Williams wanted to go and scramble, you saw how fast those guys were. They were on him right away. This wasn't last week against South Dakota State. Okay? It wasn't.
Yeah.
He couldn't get away from those linebackers that were as fast as him. That's the difference. There's a huge gap between the elite of college football and the rest. It's huge. And just those players, those recruits that schools like that get, and the money that they pay for those guys, it's just, you can see that talent gap. It's big. Big.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how they do this week. They got to turn around and then go to Maryland.
Well, I guess it's undefeated, but who the hell knows about Maryland? They haven't really played anybody, so
Well, God, they got all these long road trips, and it bit USC going to Illinois this week. So
good for USC. Keep bitching and moaning about the start times and the travel schedule. Yeah, keep bitching and moaning about it. You get what you fucking deserve.
Yeah. No,
good riddance.
I mean, what do you think the Huskies look like? Are they middle of the road for middle of the pack for the Big Ten again this year?
I mean, I just don't think that they're not the upper, like Ohio State, Oregon, even Penn State. So I don't know, the second tier.
Yeah.
I guess is that middle of the pack? I don't
know. Yeah. I hope they're enjoying that.
Oregon was really impressive that weekend against Penn State. All right, we got to go. We'll let you go. We'll see you on Wednesday. Go Cougs, go M's.
Okay, Puck, go M's, go Cougs. See you, bud.
There's the one and only Jim Moore, the go-to guy who joins us there on Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays, brought to you by an army of advertisers. Clean Streak, also Brotherton Cadillac, and Angry Beaver. All right, he joins us on Mondays talking all things Seahawks. It is our good friend Michael-Shawn Dugar from The Athletic. His weekly appearance brought to you by the best brewery in America, in fact, in the world. That would be Georgetown Brewery.
Drink Georgetown Tavern Beer, your new locally brewed domestic-style lager. 4.2% alcohol. Cheap, good, local.
It is the Dugar Report with our good friend Michael-Shawn Dugar from The Athletic. Follow him on social media at Mike Dugar, Seahawks Man-to-Man Podcast. You can find it wherever you get your podcast and YouTube. Author of The Franchise, the story of the Seattle Seahawks. And again, brought to you by Georgetown Brewery, makers of Manny's Pale Ale, Bodie's Author, Rogers Pilsner, Georgetown's new tavern beer, by the way. Their tasting room and beer garden open daily from 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. Visit them at georgetownbeer.com. Good-looking sweatshirt there, Michael-Shawn Dugar. A nice, long, probably good, restful weekend for you as they played there on Thursday. Let's spend a minute or two on looking back on Thursday. It kind of, I've used this phrase with the Cougs in their victory there this weekend over Colorado State. I use it for the Seahawks as well. Kind of workmanlike. They let them back in, but they did enough to come out with that victory.
Yeah, and they were the better team in that game for, what do you want to call it, 90% of it, 90, 95, a large number. And honestly, you think about it, that's really been the case in all 4 of their games. They were better than the Niners for I don't know, 90% of that game, really, on both sides of the ball and special teams. I'm gonna keep mentioning special teams because it stood out every week. Literally every week, the Seahawks have been on the right end of a positive special teams play. Maybe sometimes it's just the issue of the other team doing something wrong, but whatever. Special teams is showing up every week. So I think that was just overall a good trend. Like look like the better team. Obviously, Arizona made some plays, but I think if you're a Seahawks fan, you gotta feel real good right now about this 3-1 start. They're doing a lot of things well. The defense is as advertised. Just look at what it takes to come back on the Seahawks. You basically need either Riq to mess up or the other player to catch like the ball of their life on Spoon. Now, Seahawks fans would tell you, well, they'll probably be like, well, Mike, one of those things you just said is more likely than the other. And we'll probably get into that. But that's what it takes to move the ball on these guys because you can't run it. Your quarterback's almost guaranteed to throw a pick. They've had a pick in every game, a couple games with multiple picks, including Thursday night. Defense is nails. Sam's playing much better than I thought he would have played. He's been nails. Pass protection's been good. Jackson looks great. They really just have one flaw, and that's running the ball. But it just at 3-1, you look at some of the rest of the teams. I tweeted out the standings of the whole NFC last night. Looking pretty good. Yeah. Even Philly, who's undefeated, looks pretty vulnerable, particularly in the second half of their game yesterday. So, yeah, Thursday was another step toward a really good start to the season for these guys.
You brought up his name, and what came out yesterday, I think in the early morning pregame shows, was from the NFL Network, The Insiders, which is comprised of Ian Rappaport and Mike Garafolo and Tom Pelissero. This, call it a report, just call it news that, hey, with Witherspoon coming back, teams are interested in Riq Woolen. The trade deadline is November 4th. Now, this information gets out because obviously someone wants it out, and I think it's pretty clear who wants that information out. Why have we got to this situation here with Riq Woolen where, safe to say, the organization wants it out that they're willing to trade him?
Yeah, when reports like that, this was my rule of thumb with a lot of the Colin Cowherd monologues and Jason Lockenfora reports during when Russ was in a messy space with the Seahawks. It was a general rule of thumb. Either the information that those type of guys put out is true or someone wants you to think it is. Either way, it's relevant. And I think that applies here with Riq. Either teams are calling or someone wants us to think teams are calling. Either way, either they're going to call, I guess, is how Rappaport worded that. Doesn't really matter. We got to this point because everybody who is a holdover from the previous staff, even though the front office is the same, was from the previous staff, has to prove themselves to Mike Macdonald and his guys. I think there's only two coaching holdovers from the staff, and it's Carl Scott, the DB coach, and Nico Thorpe, who is now the assistant DB's coach. Everyone else, you got to prove yourself to this staff. They didn't draft you. They didn't watch you in college. They weren't there when you got your phone call and have this sentimental attachment to you. So you got to show and prove. Everybody, a lot of guys have. You look at guys like Charles Cross, someone like Kobe Bryant. Look, a lot of the new guys that have come in, Josh Jobe. So I think Riq was put in that same position. Other guys have proven hey, coach, there's a reason that the other staff got me. I'm like that. And Riq hasn't shown that, he's been at his best with the previous staff, but that probably means very little to the current staff. And that's where you get to the point where we have this report at 6:30 a.m. Sunday morning, or whenever that dropped.
Yeah. And it just now, if they were to make that move, probably not a great return coming back for a cornerback and final year of his deal, and I don't think that's really the point of the whole thing. So what moves forward? Obviously, when they're playing two cornerbacks, you saw it on Thursday. It's Jobe and Witherspoon. They go to three. Who's that third guy then? Is it Kendrick? Has Kendrick shown enough now to be that guy?
Yeah, I'm actually going to write a story about this today. Once we talk to Mike Macdonald later this afternoon, they got a logjam. Because Nicky Miwori should probably come back this week as well. He told Richard Sherman he was coming back in week 5 at least, so I'll take Sherman's word for that. So you got Nicky Miwori healthy, so all your safeties are healthy, including D'Anthony Bell, who's been playing the big nickel pretty well the last few weeks. If you got Riq, Darion Kendrick, Jobe, and Spoon all healthy now, Who's your third guy? Yeah, I mean, this is a roll the ball out and let these guys compete situation at corner. We just saw that last year where they let Trey Brown fight for his job with Josh Jobe. Now Trey plays for the Niners, I believe. So I should tell you how that went.
Yeah.
I could easily see, like you said, Puck, they've decided that CB 1 and 2 are Spoon and Jobe. They roll the ball out there in practice and says, hey, 1 and 27. That's Darion and Riq's numbers. Roll the ball out. Best guy starts against the Bucks. I could 1,000% say that. They probably should do that. They've been doing it at every spot. D-line, they're doing it at linebacker. Like, do that and let the best guy play against Tampa.
And I think where, at least in my opinion, watching it, where Kendrick will win this, there's just, and you see practice and you'll know more about this than I do. There just seems with Kendrick a desire to want to go play hard, like on every play. Like, play hard, be physical, come up. And I just don't see that from Woolen.
I think Riq wants to be great. I do. Actually, I know that. I know that he wants that. I think the issue is greatness is not about your high-end plays. It's about consistency. I learned that. I've known that for a while, but really watching Bobby and watching Russ, honestly, they were just really good for on play by play. I would say everybody makes mistakes, but by and large, on a play by play basis, they were really good. Sherm too, if you want to use a DB example. And it was that what stood out was the floor was never that low. You know, like the worst Bobby Wagner play in his heyday was not that bad. You know, same thing with Russ or Sherm, some of these guys. Greatness is about that consistency, that down-to-down consistency. Because when you have that, you're going to make the high-end plays, and you're probably not going to make the low-end plays. You know, Riq leads the team in penalties. You know, he's the only guy with a DPI. He's got 2. You know, they both came in this game. So, like, his bad plays are worse than anybody else's bad plays. And even if he has a few high-end ones, you know, that's just not enough because coaches want consistency there. Greatness is about consistency. And I think you can want that, but then you have to deliver it. And that's where I think the issue is. It's the consistency, realizing that, like, you can have, it's very similar to offensive tackle, to be honest. You could have 70 plays in a game. You have to want to be great and deliver on all 70. Because if that one, like Abe Lucas had in week 1, is the strip sack that ends the game, then you weren't great. You know, Abe's bounced back from that pretty well, but that's a good example. O-line guys will tell you, I can have 79 good plays. The 80th play I give up a sack, I sucked. And then that guy who got that play, he had a great game. Even if the first 79 plays, he was doing nothing. You know, and that's what it takes to be great at corner. I think that's what his issue has been and why we're in this space.
And they almost got it was this close to a perfect weekend for them. Jags knocking off the 49ers, which was a great kind of physical game. You got Robert Saleh and Liam Cohen yelling at each other. And I do believe that Robert Saleh would effing end his life when he told them on the field. Just looking at him. But he also had to expect that was coming once he called out the Jacksonville Jaguars, saying that they're legally cheating, basically. I mean, of course, you can't expect the head coach not to see you walk by and then not say anything about it. But, and then, God, the Colts had a chance. They could have held on and beat the Rams, but Matt Stafford, bad back and all, and just Matt Stafford things. But it was close to a perfect weekend for those guys. Real close. And it's gonna be a crazy NFC West coming down to those 3 teams.
Yeah, and I think the weekend was it's pretty good for them. I think even if those guys had both lost, those guys being the Rams and Niners, they'd both be AFC losses, which probably won't be as consequential. So it's really like the good thing last week was that the Rams lost that game to the Eagles. You know, like you want your opponents to keep losing these conference games, lose to teams that you both play, you know, because we saw just last year, it can come down to the 17th tiebreaker or whatever. Yeah. So these games matter. That sets the stage for this game against the Bucks to be very huge. You know, you need to go win these games in the NFC. Like I think correct me if I'm wrong, I believe the NFC West is the only division where every team is 500 or better, I believe. Maybe the NFC North since the Bears won. I think because that put the Bears at 2-2, maybe. So this is a war out here.
Yeah, you're right. It's the West and the NFC North, the only 2 divisions where everyone is 500 or better.
Yeah, I mean, and you can, even if you knock out the 4th place teams in those 2 divisions, that'd be the Cardinals and Bears. You're looking at 6 pretty good teams, you know, there. So yeah, they gotta keep these NFC games are massive. Like if you're gonna lose, go lose to Jacksonville. Honestly, go lose to Houston. That'd be a bad one, but don't lose these NFC games. Or it's a dogfight.
Curious, have you heard anything from the Seahawks, the league, about Sunday start time? Is there any way they would move the start time? It's currently 1:05, and we ask because that will be, and we don't know what the game time for the Mariners playoff game will be. That will be game 2, and they I guess, could make it an evening game. But has there been any chatter about that at all?
I haven't heard anything yet. I do remember because our one of my friends who covers the Bucks asked me that this morning, actually, probably because he's got to change his flight. I remember not last year. When did the Mariners make it? It was 2022. They made the playoff. Yeah, they were going to move the game, I think, to like 2:40. I forget who they were going to play. The Mariners needed to beat Houston, I believe, in game like 2 or 3 or something. You would know the details of the Mariners side better than me, but I think it was going to push back like 85, 90 minutes. That's what I told my Bucks on me this morning, and that would be my guess. If there's some conflict at play, what would that be? I'm bad at math. 2:40 or something. Yeah, something like that.
I think it was Adam Schefter 2 days ago saying that the Mariners American League West titles potentially causing scheduling issues for the Seahawks that could result in a changed kickoff time for at least 1 and possibly 2 home games.
Yeah, so I don't think that Monday night would be tricky. I think that would be the second home game being referenced there, because that one is a 7 p.m. kick. Yeah. I want to say Pacific, one of those like we're on ESPN Plus games for some reason. But I don't think you're looking at a scenario where the Seahawks are like a double header Sunday night football situation. It just like pushed the time back a little bit. That would be my guess, which sucks for me. I get home late as is, but I think that would be the scenario.
If the Mariners, according to his story, if they play at the same time, if they're right around that same time, that they could push the kickoff back anywhere from 90 to 150 minutes. So that was according to officials there for the Seahawks. So anywhere from what, hour and a half to 2 hours, potentially.
Yeah,
2 hours, 2.5 hours.
Which would be really cool for the Seahawks if they could, have maybe a second straight good game in a quote unquote standalone window. I don't know if you call that. I guess that'd be primetime technically as well, but just being one of the only games on, because I think Puck just nationally that was really big for the team. The defense to play well, Jackson, to get the Scott Van Pelt interview on sports. Sure. Everyone needed Sam to get on the desk. With Sherman, those guys, because they're not going to get that many opportunities because of when they play. This ain't the Cowboys, right? So that was really big for them.
Yeah, plan accordingly on Sunday. Just whatever. It's going to be a zoo.
A good zoo too. I like.
It's a great zoo. It's just going to be. Do what I do. If you can and you live near the city or drive close to the city, get one of those Lime scooters or bikes and just bike in. Like I'm telling you, it's the best way to go. Just get on it, because avoid that whole mess down there.
I like it. I'm excited because I've been to these cities where
it's fun.
a lot of the venues are all next to each other. Like Philly is like that. Philly has where the Flyers play, the Sixers, and the Eagles are all like across the street from each other, I believe, and they have this like casino like watch party setup called Philly Live, I think is what it's called, or something. You got all these bars in there, and it's super fun. I went to a Sixers game while I was out there. I think Dallas has something similar where the Rangers play is right near where the Cowboys play, I want to say, and there's a thing in the middle, 2 stories, bars everywhere, big flat screens, like a casino type of style. That's cool.
A good problem to have.
Oh yeah. I'm excited. I'm excited. I don't know how the Mariners will do. I haven't been following too close, but I do think the Seahawks are a significantly better team than Tampa. I do. I think the Seahawks are really good.
And it's a beautiful game. It's a beautiful game because we've got the throwbacks. They're wearing.
Oh, is this the throwback? That's right. Yeah. Thank you.
Tampa Bay's wearing the creamsicles, and the Seahawks are wearing their throwbacks as well. I mean, I can't even tell you how beautiful this is going to look on Sunday. It's just going to be it's going to be football uniform porn.
I forgot all about that. Yeah. So who's going to be is the flag raiser going to be like Largent then? I guess maybe.
We got it. Yeah, we've used I think didn't they use Largent in the beginning of the season? Wasn't he the first?
Oh,
game?
did they? They've had some repeats. I remember looking that up for my book. They've repeated some people
Sure.
Before. Maybe you have Rabel come out the booth and do it.
Sure, Rabel can do it.
Yeah,
Fine. Craig, I don't care. Dave Craig, Dr. Dan, somebody, I don't know, anybody. Kurt Warner, bring him back.
That would be cool. Yeah, I forgot all about that. My wife, I think the Bucks had just won the creamsicle things, and we were watching the game, and she was like, "Which team is that?" she was very confused by like what team was on our screen now, because she hadn't seen. If you don't watch a lot of NFL, those jerseys will jump out at you.
Ooh. Hey, last thing for you. I'm going to go back to Thursday. This made the rounds. You made a comment also on social media about this. It was I don't know what direction. It seemed, with Tony Gonzalez and Richard Sherman talking about Russell Wilson. I understand the conversation, but it turned to me a kind of a weird direction. And it started with Tony Gonzalez. Basically where they said, hey, I think they were talking about Russell's Hall of Fame credentials, and I think they both agreed that, hey, he lost it when he left Seattle. That what has happened after that has probably will prevent him from being elected to the Hall of Fame. What did you make of that exchange on Thursday Night Football?
Yeah, I think it's unfortunate. It went so viral for the wrong reason on Sherm's behalf, because then it just looked like, and which is accurate, that just Sherm is just hating on Russ. Which there is a huge dose of that in the clip, and it just every Sherm commentary of
chance
Russell,
he gets to take a shot at him, he does.
Yeah, and so that's fine. However, this is what I mentioned on Twitter, X, whatever. That what's notable. I want to steer it away from Sherm. Just listen to the sentiment. The sentiment is that this guy wasn't that good, and yeah, sure, from Sherm's mouth, that sounds like just pure hate. However, there are more, I would say, measured, for lack of a better word, former teammates of Russ who feel literally the exact same way. And it's guys that otherwise don't have any strong feelings towards Russ, don't bash him when they get on TV, won't say what Sherm says on TV, or won't tweet it, won't put it on Instagram, but feel that way. Talk to him. Just wrote a book about this. Not everyone's quoted directly, but it's not hard to find former teammates who are like, yeah, no, Sherm's right. Yeah, it was the defense. It was Marshawn. And I think that as much as how your teammates feel about you is not necessarily why you should or should not get in, but I feel like take the messenger out of this for a second if you're just observing a clip like that and say, why did these guys who play with him feel that way? What do they know? What did they see that we're not, we being like people who may think that Russ should be in? I don't think so. What are we seeing what did they see that we don't see? I think that's important, because those guys saw a lot, coaches included, by the way.
Sure.
A lot of coaches feel the same way Sherm felt too, so on both sides of the ball. So I think that's more important. The problem is I can't just be like, hey, insert here agrees with Sherm, go ask them. That'd be just outing guys. But Sherm's not alone in that opinion. And I think that has stood out to me for a few years now, because I think it's really rare to see a guy with the credentials Russ have not be universally kind of supported by his former teammates, particularly once he won a championship with.
Not well liked, and I get it, but where I would disagree with Sherman is this assertion that what kind of quarterback he was, not a good quarterback when he didn't have an elite defense. They didn't have an elite defense after 2015. It was not elite. That last Super Bowl run, 16, 17, 18, nothing was elite about that defense. That downward spiral started. And yet you look at his numbers those years after, he was playing at an elite level. But it all has to work together. I don't think Russell Wilson's this quarterback that can elevate the entire team and organization by himself and make up for a bad defense or an average defense. I don't think that. He's not one of those. He's not Tom Brady or the Peyton Mannings of the world. He's never going to be that guy. But this idea that he just was nothing without an elite defense, I don't agree with that. There clearly some bitterness from Sherman and others. I understand that. And I don't know what he was like behind the scenes. I'm not there. I don't know what Russell Wilson is like, with people. I just see the guy as a football player. But
see, that's the other thing, though, Puck. A lot of those guys, they share certain sentiment for purely football reasons, too. Not even just like he was weird or inauthentic. They feel that way, too. But there are guys who are just like, like Sherman, I think, tweeted the other day, he was like, we could have won a Super Bowl with Matt Flynn. And he believes that. And there are other guys who feel that way. They're tripping. They're wrong. They're very wrong.
See, but that's why I don't honestly believe. I don't. Me personally, this is just me talking. I don't care what Richard Sherman says anymore. I fact am just kind of tired of him, all of it. I just don't think he should have a platform on TV anymore. That's just my personal opinion. I think it's weird how some fans treat Russell Wilson in this city, but then look at him and what that guy does off the field and the harm and danger he's put people in, his family in, and then just give him a free pass for everything. I think he's an embarrassment to the organization at times. Really, honestly, that's how I feel. But when he says something like that, I can't take him serious because that's ludicrous to say that.
The Matt Flynn thing?
Yeah, that's
just
asinine. Come on.
Yeah, it's not like Matt left here and lit it up. He was just bad. Here's the thing. Here's the truth about, and this applies to, I guess, how Russ and the organization fell out too. Russ is not as good as Russ thinks he is. Probably never has been. He's not as bad as Sherman or anyone says that he is. That's the truth. He's not. Yeah, and that's a lot of quarterbacks are probably not as good as they think they are. But I think it really stands out with Russell because he started to ask for things and behave in a certain way that reflected how good he thought he was. And then his teammates behaved in a certain way that reflected how not good they thought he was as well. But neither side is correct. Russ exists in this more middle nuanced space that if you address it doesn't go as viral. But yeah, he's not as good as he purports himself to be, because if you asked him, he would put himself probably like, oh yeah, no, that Brady, that Drew Brees is probably like the comp he would use, not as much as Brady, but yeah, he puts himself, I'm sure, in that space. And not there. The numbers don't say that, the film doesn't say that. And that's why I don't think he's a Hall of Famer. But we don't have to get in my Hall of Fame takes, but I'm really tough on it. Like I'm not there's a lot of these guys that are going to get in that I'm not. Somebody asked me the other day, Puck, in the media room, they were like, what's your case for keeping Russ out? I was like, if you have to make a case for someone to get in, they're not in. To me, right. It should just be obvious that like, oh, such and such is. I agree. Like when we're watching it, it's almost like it's like porn. You know it when you see it. It's like I know who's a Hall of Famer. Yeah. Yeah, I don't think Russ is one. I don't think guys like Eli are. I don't even think Stafford is. That's probably a talk for another day. But those guys are in the Hall of Very Goods to me. Matt Ryan, throw them in there. Yeah, reserve the Hall of Fame for the guys who is just super obvious they belong.
Okay, all right. Then we'll have to revisit the Stafford one at some point. All right, Michael.
I'm ready for that one. Okay, that's my favorite one besides Russ.
Okay, all right. This is good. Michael-Shawn Dugar, read all of his work at The Athletic. Listen to him, watch him. Seahawks Man-to-Man podcast with our guy, Chris Kidd. You can find that on all podcast platforms. Go get the book, too. He's got a book out. He'll sign it at home, on the road, titled The Franchise, story about the Seattle Seahawks. Find it wherever you find your books. Thank you, Mike. We'll talk to you next week. And as always, go Cougs.
Oh, yeah. Go Cougs, baby. 1 week at a time. See you, Puck.
There we go. 1 week. There he is. Michael-Shawn Dugar with us on Mondays. Again, brought to you by Georgetown Brewery. Visit georgetownbeer.com. In case you missed any of Michael-Shawn Dugar, that full episode will be available up on all podcast platforms, Apple, Spotify, and, of course, YouTube. We head back over to baseball. Bill Krueger, Old School Baseball podcast host, joins us on Mondays. Lengthy visit with Bill today as we do a full-on playoff preview. Talk about starting rotation, who was an unsung hero going into the playoffs, injury situation to Bryan Woo. Of course, the playoffs for the Mariners will start on Saturday. Who will they play? Either the Guardians or the Tigers. They will get underway on Tuesday. One of the best in the business, Bill Krueger, Old School Baseball, here on Puck Sports and the Daily Puck. Playoff baseball time. We've made it, Bill Krueger. We're through the regular season. The host of the Old School Baseball podcast joins us every single Monday here on the Daily Puck Drop and Puck Sports. And, of course, you can follow him on all social media channels as well, where he puts up videos constantly at @oldschool_MLB. Well, how do you feel about the team? We're here. They got to wait a little bit, but we've made the postseason, Bill Krueger.
It feels different. They've captured a bye. This wasn't sweating it out to the last day. In fact, the weekend was kind of a breeze. So it does feel a little bit different. This team feels a little bit more championship medal, I think, because of that. And they've been there and done that. They had a little bit of success 2 years ago. Lots of reasons to think this team is poised to make a pretty strong run.
We've always wondered what would they be like, right? If they got in the postseason. They've always been this team that has been more built for the postseason because of their pitching, but it's going to be the offense that has to, in a way, carry them to a degree in the regular season because the formula changes. It kind of feels like for the first time they've got both formulas working for them now as they go into the postseason.
And of course, nothing's ever perfect, Jason, because their number one starter's up in the air. They've downplayed his injury. It doesn't sound like it's something that's going to keep Bryan Woo from pitching the second day of the of this ALDS, but there's still the unknown. He got hurt at high speed, so he won't know until he's at high speed again whether he's A-okay. So that does throw a little bit of a fly into the ointment. They have the depth to overcome it, but it hurts when you're taking there's a question mark on your number one starter. Not to poo-poo where they are. They have depth of pitching. They've got a real nice finish to the end of the game with Brash and Munoz, should be well rested. They found some characters to pitch in the middle of the game, like Eduardo Pizarro has come on in gangbusters and added another left-hander to their bullpen. So those are important things because when you look at the Mariners' pitching performances this year as a starting staff, they were not near the club they were last year, the staff they were last year, where they believe they led the league in quality starts. This year, that bullpen got tested on a nightly basis because they weren't covering as many innings. But the talent is there. Those guys are all pitching. When you look at Gilbert and Kirby and Castillo right now, those three are pitching as well as they have all season long. They're peaking at the right time. And they have the luxury of taking Bryce Miller and taking his gunslinging act into the bullpen, which could give that bullpen a real boost. We don't know exactly what they have in mind with him, but his stuff will jump in the bullpen, and he may be their best option in the middle of the game, even though he's not pitched in the bullpen before. So there's a lot of things to look at that are really positive on the pitching side.
Well, how would you? I'm going to get back to Woo here in a second. You brought up Miller. Let's stick with it. How would you best use Bryce Miller as they go into the postseason? Definitely will work out. It sounds like he'll be out of the bullpen. So how do you best use him?
Well, I think he bridges where you want to get to. I don't think he leapfrogs Bizardo. But I think he could leapfrog Vargas. So when you start playing the domino game and you maybe have to think about an option in, let's just say, the fifth inning, and you got to come in and get 2 outs in the fifth and maybe cover the sixth, and then you want Bizardo in the seventh, and then you have the wedge with Spire being left-handed, and then Brash and Munoz. So I kind of see him in the middle of the game there where he could pitch to multiple hitters, could pitch, finish an inning and start another inning. He's got great stuff. And he's used to getting lefties and righties out. He's got great control. There's a lot of things that say he could be very successful in the bullpen. And he's got there's a certain way that I think Bryce Miller carries himself. He's very confident and very calm. He's pitched in the bullpen before in college, so this won't be any big shake for him.
What changes from him? How much does he take away from his arsenal? What should, as he switches to the bullpen, what are the 2 pitches in particular, or maybe more, that he should rely on once he makes that move?
Well, I mean, the big thing he wants to come in is he wants to throw that fastball, that high spin fastball at the top of the zone. But he's coming into situations where guys are swinging the bat. I think he has that. He has his split for left-handers, and pick one of those breaking balls, slider or curveball. They're not his best pitches, but he's got to probably select one of those to get those 3 dialed in. So he's going to be a little different. I don't see him quite as a 2-pitch guy. I think he's got to have a breaking ball and a split. So But, in today's age, it's so prescripted. He's going to know when he's going to get up. He's going to have time. This isn't the phone rings and the panic button, we need you in 2 hitters type of deal that bullpens were kind of used to in the past. This is much more of a clear idea when guys are going to pitch. So I think he'll have plenty of time to get ready.
Let's go back to Bryan Woo and what we know and what we don't know. We don't know a lot about Bryan Woo. We don't know when he will pitch. I think we can assume he doesn't go game 1. I think we can assume that. So game 2 would be on Sunday, October 5th. We talked about this last week, and I want you to maybe just go back over it. What is he dealing with, and why what he's dealing with in that pec injury should be a concern?
Well, just that it happened in the heat of the battle, that it stopped him from pitching. And I think anytime you have an injury that stops you from pitching in a game, it's got to be significant to stop you, because pitchers are wired to pitch. You pitch one every 5 days. In your mind, you feel a little something, but you're saying to yourself, oh, that can't be much. Let's just keep going. And then it clearly debilitated him. Okay. So it's an odd spot. It's a pec, supposedly. Now, whether that pec is there's pain that maybe you feel in the pec, but it's related to the bicep tendon, which is running in the front of your shoulder, and that's getting inflamed because the back is weak. These are all kinds of mitigating factors. It's an odd injury. It relates a lot to the fact that he has a low arm release, that he gets down. We talked about it. Most guys are up here throwing downhill. He gets down in here, and he gets a little forward with his chest, and he kind of pushes it and tries to upshoot the baseball. Well, by doing that, you're putting pressure here, right? And on the elbow, really, there's a lot of pressure because you're not using the big muscles this way. So, he's not going to change his style. His style has made him who he is. Extraordinary style that people can't pick the baseball up on. He upshoots guys and they can't find the ball, and he's been unhittable all season. He's been unhittable since he came to the big leagues. We're throwing 75% fastballs. It's remarkable. So you just hope that he feels good, that this pain, whatever it is that's happened to him, they were able to calm it down, and he's going to be fine. The point I'm trying to make is it can feel good. You can throw long toss, you can play catch, you can throw in the bullpen. You never really know on injuries that happen like that until the guy that's standing in the box is trying to take the food off your family's table. Then you know, because that's when you're at full release and you're going at them like it really matters, like your family's on the line kind of matters. So we don't know until then, truly.
Okay, so barring the injury, he was obviously going to be the guy that was going to start game 1 there on Saturday. Now we just assume it's Logan Gilbert?
I do. I think Gilbert's your best choice. I think there's a bevy of, we don't know who they're playing, but either club has a fairly good cross-section of left-hand hitting. So I think Gilbert's much more balanced. I choose him really anyway over Castillo. If you're thinking Castillo, I think in my judgment, he's the best choice of the 3. It's a beauty contest. They're all pretty. It's like, do you like the blonde or the brunette, or what do you like? Yeah. But I think Gilbert kind of represents the most unhittable guy in our staff. He's the guy that can overwhelm the competition. He's the guy that started the season as the number 1 starter. He's throwing the ball very well right now. To me, it's an easy choice. It's got to be Gilbert, and then you kind of figure it out from there. I think it's probably Gilbert, and boy, I don't know. It'll be Woo on game 2, and again, we're going to be back to the beauty contest on game 3, because trying to pick between the veteran Castillo and then Kirby, who's kind of on a rise, and I kind of like Kirby's stuff better than Castillo's, particularly when there's a lot of left-handers in the lineup. I like Castillo if it's a right-hand hitting team, but I'm not so sure I love him as much as the other 3.
Depending on where he's at health-wise, what do you consider because Castillo and Kirby have been so much better at home than on the road? Do you consider starting one of those 2 guys in game 2, save Woo for game 3?
Well, I don't know. I think it just seems like you can't wait around for Woo. He's your best pitcher. You got to get him out there as soon as possible. I think the only reason they're not starting him game one is if he has a problem, then you torch the bullpen right out of the chute. You have to go out and just dump. You have to just, throw everybody at it. Let's say, he comes out and after the first inning, it's just his back's hurting and now you got to cover, right? So I think they'd rather try to get one in the bag and then run Woo out there in game two. That makes sense. I mean, you want to get the other team down with your best guys. You can't worry so much about home and road. I mean, I think honestly, I don't know. I think it has a lot to do with lineups. They had some struggles on the road when there was a lot of left-handers in the lineup. I kind of think Kirby's fine. I kind of keep Castillo is more affected by the because he's kind of the poor man's Woo. He likes the big park for the fly ball, and he needs the park a little bit more than I think the other three do, in my opinion. That doesn't mean but Castillo's got experience. He's the kind of guy that waltzes into a game like that. He's been there. He's been very successful in playoff games. You'd say to yourself, and all of a sudden he finds another gear. So there's that to be considered as well. So I'm the betting man. It's me to make it's me to make the decision. It's Gilbert, it's Woo, it's Kirby. That's how I'd play it.
All right, you got to give me a key player when the playoffs start, but they can't be the obvious. It can't be Julio. It can't be Cal. It can't be Naylor. It can't be J.P. Crawford.
Okay. Boy,
give me an unsung hero.
An unsung hero.
Give me the Mark McLemore Award for the postseason. Just someone that is just could be the key that is not one of the big name players.
Well, you're hunting into that list of guys. If you're looking at the top six, I mean, who's been swinging the bat well in the top six? It's been Polanco. Polanco's been pretty sneaky. He's had a lot of extra base hits the last month. He's hitting the clutch. He's hit right-handed, left-handed, doesn't matter. He lays in the weeds, sort of at the end of Murderer's Row there. He's surprised us all. I mean, he had this incredible April, and then he went and kind of Rip Van Winkle for a few months, and then came back out of his long sleep, and then he was a terror again. He seems to be riding high. He's an experienced player. You better be wary of him. He's a little shorter to the ball than the other guys. He can hit a fastball. He's pretty quick. He gets beat on real slow stuff away, especially left-handed. But if you make a mistake, he's going to drive one into the gap or hit one out of the ballpark. I think I'd probably choose Polanco.
Okay. I'm going to now people that watch and listen to this, they're going to laugh. You probably don't know this. They're going to laugh at the guy that I'm going to say.
Good. You're going to go a little more like
because there's always a player. Like we all as fans have a player that even know that they're good, but there's just something about them just rubs you the wrong way. Or you just, you've had that probably as a fan growing up.
Sure.
You acknowledge they're good, but you're just like, yeah, I just don't like them. So that guy for me is Dom Canzone. And my reasoning is stupid, but it's my reasoning, and I'm a fan, and I can fan any way I want. But I also acknowledge that he has been really, really good. Really good.
Yeah.
And the thing about Canzone is what we've watched when he gets on when he gets on these runs, these little heaters, he tends to kind of carry for a little bit. And he can really be a spark offensively. Now, defensively, he's got his issues. But offensively, he can give you something because he has he's just a great hitter, and he's got power. I mean, the last month of the season, and this guy is probably you would argue, your best hitter. 365, 414 on base. He's slugging 635. He's got an OPS over 1,000. I mean, he's been ridiculously good. So he would, I guess, be my unsung hero.
Well, I think it's a great pick. Interesting decisions for Dan Wilson. Polanco's going to DH for all he's going to catch, right? So no DH for Canzone, right? So then you have to think about right field. And what are you thinking about in right field? I'm thinking defense.
Yeah, I think you
and
I
that
think you
could
got to
hurt
prioritize
how much he
that.
plays. Now, maybe he starts. They pick a spot for him against a right-hander that's pretty tough. Certainly against Skubal, he's not going to play if he starts. Cleveland's got a lot of good pitchers, mostly right-handed, so he's going to appear. I'm not so sure he's going to get the kind of at bats that would make him the odds-on choice. I agree with you. He swung the bat very well, and he's sneaky down the bottom of the order, and he's been swinging the bat really good.
Yeah.
But they may lean on Robles for defense, and he may play against some right-handed pitching.
So you mentioned you think they will primarily go with Polanco at DH. Why not play him at second base?
Oh, there's that. I didn't. You're right. You're right. That's a mistake on my part. You're right.
Yeah.
That's
Because they've kind of done that. That's kind of been their.
I'm wrong. You're right. So Canzone could DH Polanco at second base. You're right. So he probably is in there against right-handed pitching. So there you go. That's my mistake. You're right.
And I
He's
like and then Robles.
Robles in right field.
Yeah, and then I just think the defense, but I think where he's going to start showing is just his aggressiveness on the bases and what he can do, and he can wreak some havoc, and it's going to be.
Yeah, you're right. No, that's a great choice. That's a great choice. I just I don't know where I got kind of lost on myself as Polanco being the DH. That was
you always forget because you forget with Polanco.
I had Cole Young for all those games, and I kind of lost in the shuffle there.
Yeah. The what about the rest? We've talked about it before, and there's this, a guy you'd like to keep playing because it's baseball, it's every day. You don't want to get out of rhythm, but then you're like, it's been a long season. It'd be nice to get some rest a little bit for the pitchers, for the position players, all of it. Rest can be a good thing. But with rest though, how potentially, Bill, could it hurt a team if you have a rest of, a week or so?
Well, it's hard to get live at bats. As a player, you're a creature of habit. You miss a couple of days at the All-Star break, and guys are talking about being rusty coming out of the break. Well, this is a much longer break than the All-Star break. So you're right. There is some concern. They're going to play some scrimmages in the middle of the week to try to stay sharp, to see some close to live pitching, close to being live situations. Certainly not what they're going to see, on Saturday. You're not going to be able to recreate that. And the rhythm of baseball. Baseball is a habit game. It's a rhythm game. It's good to play every day because you stay on cue. So I think this benefits the team because Woo's so important. This benefits the team because you get Crawford and Raleigh off their feet a little bit. It benefits the team because the bullpen for a majority of the season has been pitching 3 or 4 innings a night. Those are the benefits. The negatives are, where will the lineup be? And this lineup's a little all or nothing, right? They're a little all or nothing.
Mm-hmm.
We don't have a Stephen Kwan. We don't have a little natty guy that gets on base. We're not a real big on-base team. And when you take and put pitching out there that pitches purposeful, you saw a little bit of what happens when you nudge the pitching up a little bit over the weekend, right? You nudged the pitching up, and we went pretty quiet. Now, it didn't matter. It didn't matter, right? But when you nudge the pitching up, where there's a little more know-how behind it, and we're all or nothing, and we're a little out of rhythm, that could be a factor. You just hope that they can find lightning in the bottle. With this team, get a walk, get a crummy hit, and then one of those guys slug, and let's get up 3-0 and ride that baby to the end. That's us.
When you look at the tail of the tape between the two, right, in Detroit and Cleveland, obviously Detroit's got the American League most likely Cy Young Award winner again, and Tarik Skubal. Now he pitches on Tuesday in Game 1 of that Cleveland series. I guess in theory he could pitch on Game 1 of the ALDS, but he'd be on 4 days rest. Most likely he'd probably go on Game 2. But anyways, what's a better matchup for Seattle?
I think they've taken Detroit behind the woodshed. I think they mentally have them, and they've hit Skubal every time. And they crush Mize, and they hit their bullpen around. And I think they have the decided advantage over the Tigers, and the Tigers are searching for who they are. Where is the best record in the American League Club? Where'd they go? And then you take Skubal, who pitches on Tuesday. If they choose to pitch him on Sunday, He's not. It's going to be. I don't know what's the count to get to Game 5. He's going to have to pitch on four. He's going to have to pitch on his fourth day twice, right?
Well, yeah, because if he wanted to start Game 1, he'd be on 4 days. That'd be his fourth day. But
right.
if he would,
he'd be his fourth day, and then he could pitch Game 5.
Yeah.
So I think if you have your druthers, you'd rather play Detroit. Cleveland is playing well. Cleveland has Jose Ramirez. They've got Stephen Kwan, who's scrappy. They got a pitching staff that's understated but very solid, that's been pitching brilliant baseball over the last month. So they don't look as good as Detroit on paper, and they don't have Skubal. But I think the Mariners would probably, if they had their druthers, play Detroit.
It's a weird team in Cleveland because I think you would look at them. I mean, Bill, they're offensively in the American League. They're dead last in runs. Yeah. Okay. They are dead last in OPS and slugging. I mean, offensively, they're the worst team in the American League. Yet here they are, having won the Central. And if you go by the analytics and the percentage of who's going to win, they have a 63 or 64% chance to beat Detroit in the first round. So, I mean, it's just weird.
Pitching in defense and playing in close games, that's what makes teams win in the postseason. You know, a lot of this bashing that lifts your numbers are against teams that either you catch them when their pitching's down or they're not very good. That's where all the hay's made that makes the numbers better. I mean, this team can win 2-1, 3-2, 4-3, 1-0. They can win those games. They know how to win those games, and the majority of games played in the postseason aren't 9-7. So that's why Cleveland is sneaky dangerous, because they don't need to score big to win. So, and they're playing with confidence.
So are you concerned a little bit? Because, I mean, the two teams with the best, with the most home runs in the American League are the Yankees and the Mariners. You concerned that style of play of relying on that home run to elevate your offense once you get into the playoffs?
Well, I think the home run does decide it. The problem is getting somebody on base when the home run does decide it. Just, you know, bigger swingers are a little easier to pitch to than guys that are short to the ball, that line the ball in the alleys. Those are tougher guys to pitch to. The big swingers are easier to pitch to. Now, if you get sideways in the count and you don't have know-how, and your know-how is stuff, that's where, you know, these guys can eat you alive. You know, that's when it can get ugly. You play at Yankee Stadium, there's always a threat on the other side of the field, right?
Yep.
And they've got more left-hand hitting than they've had in the past. And Judge can hit that inside-out cheap fly ball to right field and hit it out of the ballpark. So they're dangerous in their park, very dangerous. They got a lot of home run hitters, and their pitching's kind of coming around a little bit. The Yankees are more balanced than they've been. Even though they lost Soto, they're more balanced than they were last year. But they still got to beat Boston, and they're going to have to beat Crochet at least once. And that won't be easy. And Crochet fits well into that park. And so, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of you can make a case for all these teams, right? And the Mariners are one that can make a strong case as well. So I think it's fascinating. It's a fascinating playoff. I don't think it's easy to handicap personally.
It's great. There's just so many. I mean, the fact that you get the Yankees and Red Sox in the wild card, Cubs and Padres, Dodgers and Reds. I mean, and then you look at what's in store in the division series. Chance you could see the Dodgers and Phillies in the AL or the NLDS. You could see the Cubs and the Brewers. I mean, in the next round, and it's phenomenal.
Yeah, the National League, and we talked about this. Better than the American League, and that's a hard swallow for me because I'm an American League guy, and I can look back almost all the way back to when I played. The American League's been the dominant league. And I don't think they're the dominant league right now. I think the National League, I think there are better teams in the National League. We've seen the Phillies. Look what they did to the Mariners. Granted, at a tough point in the season. Look what the Brewers did. They waltzed into T-Mobile and kind of took it to the Mariners that series. They had their way with the Padres, which is interesting. They did with the Cubs. I think the Cubs don't have enough pitching. But I think the Brewers and the Phillies are very good. And the Dodgers, you saw them over the weekend. If they could ever get off their players off the mat and get them all playing,
Yeah.
right? They're a dangerous squad, man. They got a lot of superstar talent. If it plays, they're tough.
It's funny. We've talked a lot about the American League, and everyone seems to identify obviously the Mariners and the Yankees as the two teams, and then you just don't hear a lot about Toronto. No one ever really just
we
brings
weren't
up.
even talking. We went through the conversation. I didn't bring them up, and I should. Because
they're just kind of hanging out. They're just kind of hanging out. It's probably a good thing for Toronto. Everyone's focused on New York. Everyone's focused on the Mariners, and here we are, just kind of laying in the weeds.
Yeah, they just haven't played well in the postseason.
Mm-hmm.
And they've made some improvements. They've added some left-hand hitting to that team. They were very right-handed. And still got Guerrero and Bichette, but they've got some other left-hand hitters that can hurt you. And, their pitching is good enough, I think, to give anybody a run at it. So they're a dangerous team. They're a very dangerous team. They're falling into this whole, lucky I don't have to make a living trying to handicap that American League. It'd be tough.
What are your expectations for them? Again, as we sit and we're recording this before it starts, what do you think should the expectations for this baseball team be, the Mariners?
Well, they're going to get to the AL championship game. I think they're going to win this series against Detroit or Cleveland. They're going to win that. They're going to go up against more than likely Toronto or the Yankees. It would be some serious drama to play the Yankees. Boy, I just think about, those big moments that the Mariners have had against the Yankees, and how sweet it would be to take them on and go to the World Series and put them back in a place where they're, hating life, right?
Mm-hmm.
The arrogance of New York. That's a beautiful thing. But don't discount Toronto in that series for sure. I don't think Boston can beat. I think the Yankees will beat Boston. But, you never know. I think I feel good. I think the Mariners are going to win this series. I feel confident about it. And then they're going to be playing with confidence going into that next series against whomever they play. I think they have there are lots of reasons to believe the Mariners can make the World Series. They could be the darling this year. They've never done it. There's a lot of excitement around that. I can cross baseball, certainly in the area here. They're playing extraordinary baseball at home, and they've got the home field kind of working for them where they've had to play against it. The last 2 years ago when they got in it. So, and they get their pitching set, which is going to be powerful. And, you think back to like 2001, that team was expected to win,
right?
Expected. And they folded underneath those expectations. This team feels like they're a pick, but they're not expected. And I think that they don't quite have that pressure. I think the big clubs that have spent a lot of dough, once we get Detroit with their flagging, they're under the gun. Okay. Cleveland's sneaky. They're probably going to beat them. Toronto spent a ton of glue, and so did New York. There's pressure on both those teams. They spent a lot of money. Mariners don't have that quite. They've kind of formatted this team well. They were able to go and swoop in and get Suarez and Naylor. I mean, that was so fortuitous that the Arizona Diamondbacks kind of fell on their head, and they were open to dealing both those guys. I mean, they could never have known that in the offseason when they didn't make any moves for corner guys, right? And we all thought that was going to be their kryptonite, right? But it fell in their lap. These guys fell in their lap. And good. The Mariners got both of them, and what a boost they've been. So, I mean, I like the Mariners in the AL championship.
So what you're saying in the end is when they receive their playoff share money, we should give some of it to Arizona for falling apart, because they will really have a big hand.
They expected to make the playoffs. They expected not to be trading at the deadline. You're right.
They have a big hand in the Mariners advancing.
Yeah,
in the
because
playoffs.
it had to be those guys had. I don't think there was another answer out there for the Mariners, and to get to corner both those guys and sweetheart deals where once the market wasn't like. They didn't have to give away players to get them. All they had to do was take their money. It was beautiful.
You're right. They are not. They are, without a doubt, they are not in this position at all had Arizona not fallen apart. They're not.
No, I mean, these guys were a huge lift to the team. They became a much more dangerous offensive team. They
Right.
played with confidence. Both those guys are veteran presence. Both of them played excellent on the defensive end of the game. It just added enormously to this team and got them through some games, particularly where their pitching was a little uneven. It made a big difference. And I don't know that you could say they wouldn't have made the playoffs, but I think the road to get there would have been a lot like it's been the last few years.
Yeah.
We're coming down the last week, and we need everybody in the league to help us. We had to have everybody lose, and we had to win every game. This is a lot different because of the addition of those two guys.
All right, last thing for you.
Yeah.
You were a part of it. It was an end of an era, end of a broadcast that was a fixture here in this region. There with Root Sports, had many different names, 30 plus years of covering baseball in this market, in this region. They had their final game on Sunday. You worked everybody that was on that broadcast on the final time on Sunday. You worked with all of those people, and I know you remain close to them, and it was such a huge part of your life. I know it didn't end the way that you wanted it to end, obviously, but it's a sad closure to something that was coming into our households every single night.
A lot of consistency of faces, and the chemistry, I think, was obvious when you think about, in particular, Brad Adam, Angie Menting, and myself. When you go back to sort of the beginning, the three of us have been ever present. That isn't to take away the guys that have been on, and that Mike Blowers and what he did over that, a big piece of that, of certainly Aaron and Dave Sims and Dave Alley and Ryan Roland Smith. They've all been a part of this family called Root Sports. Now, I went back all the way to where we were Prime Sports, and then we were Fox Sports Northwest, and we did news, and we did Detroit, and we did studio stuff, and we did every night. And I will say this, that when we came into your household, I think you felt that there was we had a true affinity for one another, that we liked each other, that we knew how to have fun with one another, and yet still deliver high quality analysis and storytelling that we did in the pre and post game shows. And I just say this, that I have great memories, and I've talked to Brad and Angie and said, hey, the big thing is that we have these memories that we can always hold on to, and what we did in our jobs, and they were very good, and we didn't fall apart because of our lack of professionalism, or our ability to deliver to the market. This had a lot to do with the changing of cable television to streaming, and that's what's that's uprooted Root and caused this new setup that the Mariners are going with now. I think for fans, you're still going to get the people that you're used to seeing. It's the faces, right? You're going to get Brad and Angie back, more than likely. You're going to have the cast that you saw this year, more than likely. And that's been great. They've been in your home. The Rick Rizzes, the Aaron Goldsmiths, they have been ever present as well. So I think the fan's going to have to adjust to streaming for sure. But, there's a page that was turned. And I think Root Sports, I think this, Root Sports did a great job and presented it in a high quality fashion. We had a lot of really talented people behind the scenes, and it was pretty obvious that it was done well. And it's not that it's not being done well, but I just think it should be noted that the Root Sports team did it very well.
Well said. And you were a big part of that. A success of the run of again, Root Sports, Prime Sports, Northwest Sports Report, all of it. God, you forget about. I forgot about Northwest Sports Report, and then I forgot that you guys used to have to do the show in Detroit. We
had it going on out there. It was crazy, but the beginnings of the regional sports network that was took over, and then it found it's now fallen into the wasteland. It's streaming or bust now.
Yeah, it is. It is for sure. There he
So
is, Bill.
You're gonna have to figure that out as a fan. Where's the game at on?
I know, and it's hard for some, and it's hard for me. It's hard for a lot of people.
Yeah.
But it's not hard to find Bill Krueger with us every single Monday.
Wow, thank you.
Here on Puck Sports and the Daily Puck Drop. Old School Baseball is the podcast. You can find it on all podcast platforms. _MLB on social media. Get started coming up later this week. We'll reconvene next Monday. We'll discuss the first 2 games of the ALDS. Hopefully they're up 2 games to none. Until then, thank you, Bill Krueger. We'll see you next week.
All right, Jason. It's been a pleasure this season, and we just want this thing to go on and on and on all the way through the month of October.
There he is, Bill Krueger, with us every single Monday. Old School Baseball Podcast, Old School _MLB. They're on social media. Joins us every Monday. Will continue to join us on Mondays until the baseball season has concluded. And again, you missed any of Bill's appearance with us, again, available on all podcast platforms, Apple, Spotify, and, of course, YouTube, a part of the Daily Puck Drop on Puck Sports and pucksports.com. Let's finish up Monday's show. Again, another lengthy one, but we went long with Bill. Bill's also going to be part of, later in the week, we're going to put together a baseball playoff preview. He's going to be part of that there as well. Hey, What the Puck, brought to you by Restoration One of North Seattle. It's your restoration company that lets you avoid the stress of water, fire, and mold damage with their property restoration services. Locally owned and operated. Make them your first call when these damages affect your residential or commercial property. 206-817-8917. Visit them at restoration1.com, the North Seattle franchise. Back to the Ryder Cup. Jim and I talked about it earlier in the show, and I'm going to recap it one more time. It was an embarrassment. It was an embarrassment for the PGA of America. It was an embarrassment from the crowd. It was an embarrassment of the players and how they treated it. More so than anything, throw that all together. It was an embarrassment for the United States and how people view us. They view us in a way, and in this current climate, and that crowd, and that behavior, and the things that were being done before matches to have chance of FU Rory calculated by someone who was employed by the PGA of America is an embarrassment. It's a stench. It was gross. It was a shame to watch that. It was a shame to see those guys on the course wearing those shirts and trying to represent a country. It was just a shameful weekend. Embarrassing is just the word I just keep describing. I know those players want to win. I know they're competitive, but they just lack what makes it great for Europe. I mean, that's the golf side of things, because there's 2 separate things here. There's the golf side of things. Well, why has Europe won 9 of the last 12? Because they care about it. Because it's not about money to them. It's about representing their countries against one. And they take pride in it. Meanwhile, the U.S. players, they don't care. There is no pride to them. They don't grow up thinking and dreaming about those moments like Shane Lowry talked about after he sank the game-winning putt. Grew up of that moment. That was his moment. That's what he's always thought about. So that's a separate. How can they change it? I don't know. They can't change it until the players themselves have the same feelings that Europe has. Everyone's got to feel about the Ryder Cup like Justin Thomas feels about the Ryder Cup. And until they have that, they're going to keep getting their asses kicked. As for the behavior of the fans, reputation of being an ugly American didn't help this weekend. It was gross. nothing creative, stupid chants, stupid behavior, stupid fans being interviewed about, well, they don't like it. They shouldn't be here. Just stupid. Just the most Neanderthal knuckle dragging behavior ever. And it's not some blue collar crowd either. That's because there's nothing blue collar about it. The people that are blue collar couldn't afford to get in the place. It was so expensive. So I wanted Europe to beat them by 1 million if they could have, because of how that crowd and the behavior of that. Just be better, man. God, be better. It was just embarrassing weekend all the way around. That's Hey What the Puck, brought to you by Restoration One of North Seattle. It's your restoration company that lets you avoid the stress of water, fire, mold damage with their property restoration services. Locally owned and operated. Make me your first call when those damages affect your residential or commercial property. 206-817-8917. Visit them at restoration1.com. The North Seattle franchise. Thanks for watching and listening today. It was long again. We're not making it a habit. Thank you to all the sponsors: Limback Lumber, Georgetown Brewery, Restoration One. Big thanks to gym sponsors on Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays: Clean Streak, Brotherton Cadillac, and the Angry Beaver. Today's Daily Puck Drop, find it up on YouTube. Please subscribe to the channel. Also find the Daily Puck Drop on your favorite podcast platforms and at pucksports.com. When you're there, sign up to become a member of the Pucks Posse. Just $5 a month. You support all the free content we do. In addition, we give you bonus shows every single week. You can find all of it up at pucksports.com. Enjoy the rest of your Monday. We'll talk to you tomorrow on Tuesday's edition of the show. John Canzano stops on by to recap another crazy weekend of college football. We'll talk to Danny Kelly from The Ringer, all things NFL, and Jim Duquette, Puck Sports' GM from MLB Network Radio. See you on Tuesday. As always, promise to be better.
No shoes, no ties.
Would anybody like to smoke some pot?
Yeah. I was born to love. I was born to lick your face. I was born to rub you, but you were born to rub me first.
What do you need my address for? We like to send out anyway.
Mother of mercy, I don't speak Japanese!